Hey, I'm Jenny. Welcome to the channel if you're new. Thanks for clicking on the video. I really appreciate it. And if you're not so new around here, thanks for coming back. But also, I realised this video has been a long time coming. I know. But let's just put that to a side. Around this time last year, I did a video about why you should study film, kind of counteracting the stereotypes that are normally given to film students. If you want to check that out, I'll link it in the card and in the description below. But since that video, a lot of you have messaged me directly and asked a bunch of different questions to do with studying film, hence why we are here today, and I'm going to answer some of them for you. But if you still have questions at the end, be sure to comment below, message me still, I don't mind. And who knows, if there's enough, I might do another video. For a brief overview for those that are new, I studied film and TV studies at Aberystwyth University, which is in Wales, and I loved it. It was a 3-year course, a great balance between production and theory, and I am here now after graduating as a freelance photographer, and of course right now it's a very different situation because of COVID-19. It's no one's fault, but anyway, let's get on with the questions. How do I know what course is right for me? Why did you choose a film and TV course over just studying film? The main thing you really need to work out is, do you want all production or do you want all theory? Or do you want a mixture of both? And then to find the one that's right for you is just researching, because all the courses that all universities offer are completely different. How I saw it was film and TV roles now are crossing over quite frequently. It's not just 3-point camera setups now for live TV, it's also dramas that are now a thing, and I feel like the film and TV course just gave me a very good overview of both topics. In regards to film and theory, I was 100% production. If you're in a position like I was where all you want to do is make films and that's it, I would advise to take the time to look into theory, because when I went for a tour around BBC, they asked about the production course I wanted to do, and they were saying that's really good, but don't forget the theory side of it. You need to understand the past to know where things are going, and it really does reflect in your work. And although I didn't like writing essays, I didn't like readings, from pushing myself to do it, I really found it benefited me and it really showed in my production work. Definitely consider it if you're an all production person. I would say that it actually works the other way around, so if you're just a theory-based student, you also need to understand how the production side of things work. It works both ways. If that makes any sense, I hope it does. It's honestly all in research and weighing up the production and theory, so it's completely down to you as an individual. I really loved film and TV and I'm really happy I did it. I'm worried I've chosen the wrong subject to study. Can I change my course to study film instead? Briefly, what I'll say about this is, if you're currently studying a subject you're not enjoying, make sure you change it. You don't have to stick it out. There are plenty of options for you. Speak with a member of staff and they might be able to offer you other subjects you can swap to within the uni, which might be film, or there might be some different transfers to other universities. There's also something you can do of you to do a 20 credit module in a completely different subject. Will normally be a list of what subjects offer the 20 credit modules that you can do. You might be able to take 20 credits into film, but there's a lot more versatility than people think when they're at uni, so definitely speak to your tutor and they should be able to help you a bit more, because every uni is different, they're not all the same. I had this question a few times which is quite interesting, and it's, how do I afford / pay for university? Now I'm going to say this answer from the point of view that I'm a UK student studying in the UK, and all other countries might have their own way of doing it. Although I studied in Wales, it's still applied the same as if I were to study in England. So what we have in the UK is a maintenance loan and a tuition fee loan. Tuition fee loan instantly pays off the tuition fees, which were £9,000 a year for me. They might change when you're watching this video, so just double check that. This is the part that completely varies so much from every single student. A maintenance loan is normally used for things like your accommodation whilst you're at uni if you're living away, your weekly food shop, things like that. As I said before, it varies so much because the actual maintenance loan is based off your household income at home. Everyone's different, therefore the loan itself will either cover the actual accommodation or whatever you need to cover, and some don't. This is where it's really important to research the university you want to go to. They might offer a scholarship or an entry exam and it might help you out a lot. You might get a grant for it, so definitely look into that and see if you can get one of those. So in regards to the repayment of the loans, that doesn't come into play until after you've graduated with your degree. And the actual repayment doesn't come into play until you've got a job that earns over £25,000. I believe it might have gone up to £26,000, but I'm not sure. Until you're earning that amount of money, you don't have to pay any of the loan back. And obviously that's where the debate is, just don't get a job that earns over that and you don't have to pay it. But surely that's not the idea of university. You're going there to get a better job, hopefully. If you do get a job that earns over that, you will have to pay a small percentage every month back. I've heard a lot of graduates say that it's not noticeable, but if you think about it, when you're earning that much money anyway, you won't really notice that small percentage. Although you are in debt for going to university, it's a weird kind of debt. Okay, I put these two questions together because I feel like they cover the same sort of thing. Do you need a degree to get into film, and was it worth the money? Straight up, you don't need a film degree to get into the industry at all. You can do it through apprenticeships, trainee schemes. There's just many different ways, and even if you know someone in the industry, that's a very, very good thing to have. The reason why I went to university, because I didn't at first, I wanted to do an apprenticeship, was because the apprenticeship was a 2-year waiting list easily, and you had to have a really good portfolio. But to give you an idea, I didn't have a professional camera, I didn't have a car to get to locations, I didn't have people that I knew closely that I could work with, I didn't know actors. There was many other things to think about, and I didn't have them at the time. So although I didn't want to go to university, I ended up going to university because not only did it give me all the experience, all the facilities, different trips and things like that, and just expertise in the field, I also got a qualification out of it. Yes, you don't need the qualification, but nobody can take that away from me. I feel like a degree is highly looked down on. As sad as it is, whoever's going to employ you, they can instantly see you've gone to university, put a lot of work into something and studied to that high level of education. I know that shouldn't matter, but at the end of the day, I got a portfolio out of it. I got a lot of experience out of it. That's why I also feel like it ties into the next question of, was it worth it? I know the certificate I have is going to be the most expensive piece of paper I'm ever going to own. But when you think about it, it's a weird kind of debt. And from everything I got out of going to university, like using the Red camera, going to New York for free, just working with loads of teammates and actually building up a lot of contacts, I feel like it's a very individual thing and it's up to you as a person. If you can do it without a degree, that's absolutely amazing. If somebody needs a support system, there's nothing wrong with that either. How much equipment should I buy? So the short answer to this is you don't need to buy equipment. If you're going to university, they should be able to supply you with the cameras, all the software, with the computers for editing studios, with mics, with dollies, with drones, with gimbals. Literally, they should be able to have a good supply of equipment to let you have. Obviously, every time you take the equipment out from university, you should fill out a risk assessment form, and this is the reason why I do feel like you should have a camera. It doesn't matter the specs, just a camera, because you can take it out whenever you want. You can document your university experience and just do a lot more work in your own time. And like anything, the more practice you do, the better you become at something. But if you can't afford it, you shouldn't feel pressure too, because I knew plenty of people at university that didn't have a laptop, that didn't have a camera. So don't worry about it. Everyone's completely different. Everyone has different backgrounds. The main thing at university is you're willing to learn. Will I get a guaranteed job in industry? I'm worried I won't find one after graduating. I think this is one of the most frequently asked questions about studying film. But I also think it goes for any student that wants to go to university. There's always a fear that you're not going to find the job straight after graduating. And statistically, I don't think many graduates go straight into their industry because it's really hard. And especially right now, because of coronavirus, it's even harder. Regardless of that, if you really want to go into industry, you'll find a way. It's a very tough industry and you've got to learn that people will say no all the time. I think people out there will be like, well, why didn't I go straight into industry if I'm saying it's doable. But in the position I'm in, I have the time and the space to try and experiment with freelance because that's my end goal. If it doesn't work, I know that I do have a degree, I can go into industry. And just because it's a film and TV degree doesn't mean I'm restricted to it. I feel like nowadays, unless you're being a doctor, anything that definitely needs a degree, if you do have one and you change your idea of a career, then most of the time they might accept graduates because they have a degree. It doesn't matter what it's in, within reason. And another way of looking at it, before I started uni, I wanted to go into film. I'm now here, I'm a freelancer. I never would have thought that had happened. In those 3 years, you learn so many other things that change your perception on careers. You have 3 years to experiment in different roles, and especially today, careers are completely different. People start as one thing and end up as another, and just because you've got a job doesn't mean you've got to stick to it. You can go down alternative paths. You can keep changing if you want to. Don't stress about it too much. Concentrate on the degree and making sure you're happy. All of the career basis will come after. I know it's hard to think that, but it's true. What should I include in my portfolio or show reel? I hate being broad on this question, but it honestly depends on the university you're applying to. Everyone will have their own application process. With my university, I had an interview and I could show a portfolio if I wanted to. Honestly, they cared more about you as an individual and your motive in some sense. Whereas other universities will be all about the portfolio, show reel and nothing else. But for an overall show reel or portfolio, people are thinking it has to be full-length films or professional work, but it could be things like drawing a storyboard for a script you wrote a few years ago, or a photo storyboard. Can also count for social media, so Instagram, Facebook pages, websites, LinkedIn, a ton of different things that employers will like. It's also applicable for a university application, so it doesn't have to be a full-length film. And with a show reel, what tends to happen is you take clips of different pieces of work and put it all together. It's not just one plain film, because the show reel is meant to show what you're capable of. Choose things that represent your work and your skill set. With the university, don't expect it to be a Hollywood film, because the chances are it won't be, because when you're at university, you're there to learn and improve, and by the end of university, you'll get something that's more professional and high quality. So they mostly want to see you're motivated and a really upbeat personality that'll fit in with the department they have. Like I say, for most of these questions, it depends on the university you're going to, film school or whatever you want to call it. This is going to be the last question because I actually really like it and it's very relevant to things today. So, is there anything you have learned in film school that you couldn't have learned off YouTube? I'm a very self-taught person, whether it's music, crafts, just everything. I'm very self-taught, so YouTube has always been a best friend of mine when learning something new. And as you probably know, there's thousands and thousands of tutorials from video editing, photo editing, using a camera, using a tripod, literally everything. So there is so much knowledge just there on YouTube for free. But if you want to go into the film industry, I think it's very important that you need teamwork, experience. And although teamwork is a very broad thing and we've all done it in school and things like that, working in a team with production, I feel, is completely different. So I will say that going to university gives you a lot of people to work with. It's taught me not to be a perfectionist and I can rely on other people. But something I definitely couldn't have got off YouTube is working in a live TV studio. I did a live TV studio module. It was one of the best experiences I think I had. I'm very grateful that I was able to do that, and now I have experience in live TV as well. So that is also something else that you can't really get from YouTube. And you can have one-on-one meetings, ask all the questions you want. The university had loads of different competitions, and the one I will always say is Tribeca. And if I hadn't have gone to university, I wouldn't have had that opportunity to go to New York for free and experience Tribeca Film Festival. Although it sounds like a good time there, it opened my eyes to even more careers. Until you have that first-person experience, you don't realise how important it is. I don't have a problem with YouTube. I learn a lot of things from YouTube myself, even now, and there's nothing wrong with that. And you can probably realistically learn all the theory I learned technically, but it's also knowing what to look for. I got a lot from my degree and I got a lot from YouTube. So that is it for today's video. I hope I answered some questions that you might have. If I haven't, be sure to leave it down below or message me on Instagram, whatever you fancy. So if you did enjoy this video, please hit the thumbs up button. I really appreciate it, and subscribe if you're new. So stay safe and I will see you at some point in the future. Bye.